Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the city of Boston, to our very special visitors. Welcome home and to the heart of our city for those who haven't been at RCC before, and I feel that's probably a very small number here. It is a delight and privilege to be able to welcome Secretary Yellen to our great city and to thank the many, many partners that make it possible for Boston to show off what we have done here with the resources that have been available through the Biden administration and through the policies that she and her team have been working on. We have had a wonderful tour today, and I wanted to highlight 3 different points here. One, I hope that what the Secretary and her team take away back to DC is the depth of partnerships that we have here in Boston across every level of government, with Governor Healey and her administration, with all of our team members here at the city. I'm joined today by our leaders on the climate side, Chief Reverend Mariama White-Hammond and Oliver Sellers-Garcia of our Green New Deal team, but also by our Economic Opportunity and Inclusion team with Chief Shagun Idawu, our CFO, Ashley Grauffenberger, and all of those who work across our team partnering to make that happen. Second, after partnerships, is proof. Boston is the proof of what we can get done when we have the resources to bring everyone in our community into the work. And we want to use every opportunity to help nationally, but also to make sure that that reaches every corner of our city as well. And then third is the potential that we still have to come. We know that with the continued partnership, the continued resources to come, Boston and Massachusetts can continue to push the standards of what is possible. So I want to thank the governor. We've been able to do so much with the resources that your administration has made available, the specialized energy stretch code that the city of Boston has opted into to be able to raise our standards and create the market for so much of what we're doing. And on the workforce front, to double down together on making sure these opportunities are right here, jobs right for our community members. I want to close by just mentioning 3 items that we've been able to draw on to be that proof for national dollars. On trees, for example, we know that the best technology we have to fight climate change is on trees. With ARPA funding, we were able to build a first-time ever forestry team, and then with the resources now from the Inflation Reduction Act to receive funding through Senator Markey and Senator Warren's advocacy and our congressional delegation to be able to deploy those directly into jobs in our community. On housing, we have many, many historic older buildings. Through ARPA dollars, we were able to launch a green retrofit building focused on triple-deckers and smaller multifamily homes. And with the new funding that's available, we will be able to expand that. And then when it comes to schools, our electric school bus program was first launched through ARPA. We bought our first batch of buses, figured out how it worked, how we could charge them, and now we're thrilled just earlier this week to be on the list where Boston will receive $20 million from the administration and the EPA to more than double our fleet, 50 additional electric school buses cleaning the air in the city of Boston. So thank you for all of that work, and we're so thrilled to be here with all of our partners.
Please welcome to the stage the Governor of Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor Wu. It was wonderful to listen to you last night at the State of the City address that you gave. Thank you to President Jenkins Scott and all at RCC for the great work done in so many ways, particularly on this important issue we're here on today. And thank you to Secretary Yellen for not only joining us here in Boston and Massachusetts, but in particular for the incredible support from Treasury, from the Biden-Harris administration, in all that is done to help us in very real and tangible ways, and I've seen it over the last year alone, make investments, real money, real investments, real incentives in infrastructure, and in basically ensuring that our residents and our businesses are going to be able to operate and live in more productive and healthier, successful ways. Now, we know that carbon reduction is a top priority at every level of government. We know that climate change is real. We know that from the very experience of all the flooding and severe weather throughout the state over the last year alone. Communities like Roxbury, we know, are particularly impacted and have for far too long suffered disproportionate adverse health outcomes as a result of impacts from pollution and environmental inequities. our approach, the state's approach, the city's approach, aligns with the approach of the Biden-Harris administration. And we are grateful to and want to note the incredible power of the Inflation Reduction Act, which has been a boon for our state. It's enabled us to further the opportunities to create great, good-paying jobs for our people, pathways into those jobs. Some of that we talked about and lived here today. It creates opportunities to live in strong and safe communities with environmental justice. And importantly, it creates opportunities to lower energy bills for residents and customers around the state and for them to live in affordable, healthier communities. It's why we as an administration have doubled down on our climate focus and have made sure that it is a part of everything that we do, from healthcare, public transit, to housing, to the innovation economy. We appointed, as you know, the country's first climate chief to sit atop and drive that agenda across the board. We created our state's first Office of Environmental Justice. We doubled funding for our Mass Clean Energy Center, which is a really terrific outfit that helps support and incubate all these wonderful entities that are going to be out there innovating and providing job training. As a state, we take pride in and want to always lead the country when it comes to energy efficiency. So with that, we're looking to the future and what we need to do. We had a conversation earlier about housing. It's a critical issue in our state. We are approaching this climate prerogative, the housing imperative. These have synergies, right? And we have an opportunity to decarbonize our economy while lowering housing costs for our residents. That's why last year in Massachusetts, as a state, we launched the country's first ever green bank, climate bank, that is solely directed at affordable housing. In November, I stood with the mayor. We have $50 million to fund the retrofitting of low and moderate income housing across the state, $27 million out the door already. And it's also why we proposed a $4.1 billion housing bond bill, Affordable Homes Act, the biggest plan in Massachusetts history, which would include significant investments, $400 million in investments in sustainable and green housing, including the decarbonization retrofits that we already have seen and know will be so impactful. Today also is about workforce, and we're developing the workforce we need to achieve these goals. We know that the heroes of this revolution are our electrician and our HVAC operators, right? Folks who are being trained right here today at RCC through incentives provided by the Biden-Harris administration. This is key. We also estimate that here in Massachusetts alone, we need about 13,000 of these folks, like yesterday, right, to do this work. The good news is, through the partnerships that the mayor mentioned, we've got the opportunity to deliver, to sync up with our incredible education institutions on programming, employers who are out there, innovators who are developing, and most importantly, the human talent that resides in Boston and around this state. We can make historic progress due to the incredible opportunities afforded by the Biden-Harris administration's Inflation Reduction Act. We have worked hard to align as best we can. That includes creating our state's federal funds and infrastructure act so that we are maximizing all of our applications and able to get after it that way. We have strong applications in, though I don't want to put the thumb on the scale at all. I will say we do have an application in for EPA's Solar for All program, which is going to provide residential solar to an estimated 80,000 homes, low income and marginalized community homes. Also for NOAA's Climate Resilience Regional Challenge to protect our precious coastal communities from sea rise. Tax credits are so key to everything that we're trying to do, to lowering costs, to retrofitting green housing, and we're just grateful to all the support that we received. We look forward to making the very, very most of it. I know here in Massachusetts, we have the ability, working together, to deliver just that. So again, thank you, Secretary Yellen, to you and your team for being with us in Massachusetts today.
Please welcome to the stage Interim President, Roxbury Community College, Jackie Jenkins Scott.
Good morning. We are delighted to welcome you here this morning. I welcome you on behalf of our Chair of our Board of Trustees, Sheriff Steve Tompkins, who was with us earlier this morning and had to leave. We have a number of our excellent board members here. I'd just like you to wave your hand, and we're delighted to have you with us. Reverend Ray Hammond, the chair of our Roxbury Community Foundation, Community College Foundation, and Foundation board members with us. And so many members of our leadership team here. I want to call out in particular our Dean of Workforce, Sal Pina. And of course, a very, very warm welcome to our mayor, our governor, and to Secretary Yellen. Many of you may know we are nearing the end of Roxbury Community College 50th year anniversary celebration. We've been celebrating for a whole year. 50 is a big number, right? And this college was started through community activism and protest in the 1960s. There was an effort to build a highway right where we stand, and this community said no. This community said what was important for this community was an educational institution for the residents of this community. And they fought, and they protested, and they won. And we are here today because of that resilience and that commitment. And we honor that history, and we honor that legacy. Our mission is to cultivate leaders, create change through our own leadership in this new green energy and economic social justice era. We've learned that Roxbury Community College was selected for this visit because of a $20 million investment that this college made back in 2017. We created a project with 23 energy conservation measures, and you're very familiar with the solar canopy over our parking lot. That was one of 23 projects. So this college was always ahead of the curve on thinking about leading in energy development. Out of that effort came our Smart Building Technology Center, which Secretary Yellen and Governor Healey and Mayor Wu and our other distinguished guests visited earlier today. We are proud of the progress we've made, but we want you to know that we are not stopping here. We have a lot more work to do in this area, and we are excited to partner with the city, with the state, and with the federal government in achieving jobs and opportunities for people in this community. While we're certainly certain to continue the infrastructure work that we've started, we're looking forward to continuing to develop leaders. You will see that one of the activities that will come out of this is our new Center for Economic and Social Justice, which was created through the efforts of Senator Markey with a $4 million investment in renovating the Dudley House, the old Dudley House, which is now going to be our Center for Economic and Social Justice. And that will be the very first net zero historic renovation in this country. So we're very excited about that and invite you to join us. And hopefully the governor and mayor will be able to join us in the spring when we have a groundbreaking celebration for the renovations that have started, and a very large thank you to the federal government for their investment of $4 million in this project. We thank you all for being with us today, and we look forward to inviting you to continue to celebrate our 50th anniversary with us with the concluding event on February 24th, where we will have the final gala to recognize 50 years of this great institution. And part of that recognition, Secretary Yellen, is having you with us here today. So it's our great pleasure to invite Secretary Yellen to make some comments.
Please welcome to the stage the 78th Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen.
afternoon, and thank you so much, President Jenkins Scott. I'm very glad to be here in Boston with Governor Healey and Mayor Wu to have the chance to tour Roxbury Community College and see its groundbreaking energy projects and student training programs. I learned that RCC has a tri-level renewable solution. It uses geothermal wells to circulate fluid deep below the ground, then push it back up to cool the facility in the summer months. These wells then sit below a parking lot with electric vehicle charging stations, and the parking lot sits below a canopy of solar panels that generate energy for the campus. Solutions put in place across the campus are estimated to create savings of up to $800,000 per year for RCC. And those are funds that are being freed up to better serve students. At the same time, the solutions are shrinking RCC's carbon footprint by an estimated more than 5 million pounds of carbon dioxide annually. And I'm here because this is a model for what we're seeing more and more of around the country due to the Biden administration's policies. Solutions that cut costs for schools, businesses, and families while advancing our nation's climate and energy security goals. In my remarks today, I'll talk about these policies and where they're leading. But first, at the start of this new year, let me step back to talk about how far we've come over the past 12 months. Instead of the recession many predicted, during the first 3 quarters of 2023, annualized growth of the U.S. economy was about 3%. Inflation is now near 3%, and the prices of many key goods have fallen, from televisions, down 28% from their peak, to used cars and trucks, down 11%, and gasoline prices are down too, by around $1.90 per gallon from June 2022. The typical middle-class American household now has more wealth, higher earnings, and more purchasing power than before the pandemic. Because wages have risen more than prices since 2019, the median family can today buy the same basket of goods and services as in 2019, but now with nearly $1,000 left over to save or spend. Household consumption has also been strong as families put their extra income and accumulated pandemic-era savings back into the economy. This is due to the Biden administration's policies, beginning with the American Rescue Plan and continuing with an historic trifecta of legislation: the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. But despite how far we've come, we know significant work remains to be done. For too many families, prices for goods that matter, groceries, rents, prescription drugs, are high. At the Treasury Department and across the administration, we're using all tools at our disposal to bring these costs down so that families have more breathing room. And this starts with health care. The Biden administration has already capped insulin costs for Americans on Medicare at $35 per month. That means an individual will save $500 per year on average. We're lowering the price of prescription drugs for seniors. That's estimated to create savings of about $400 per year. But energy costs also pose significant challenges for American families, and that includes families in New England. Here in Massachusetts, it's estimated that households using natural gas, that's over half of Bay State households in 2021 will spend $900 this winter. Households using oil, that's 1 in 4 households in 2021, will spend over $2,000. Using electricity instead of fuel oil to heat your home can save over $1,000 a year. Using electricity instead of propane can save you more than $800, and that is money that parents can use for other daily expenses or put toward their kids' college education or their own retirement. And reliance on gas and oil for heating, it isn't just expensive, it's energy insecure. When prices spike due to geopolitical events, consumers are on the hook to pay unless government acts quickly. And we saw this in 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. The Biden administration responded rapidly. We released 180 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and worked with a coalition of partners to put in place a novel price cap on Russian oil, which kept global energy markets well supplied and costs lower than they could have been. But Americans are still vulnerable to future volatility, and the pain is often most acute for lower income and middle class families, including those that are living paycheck to paycheck. For them, energy, electricity, heating, fuel, gasoline account for a significant share of their monthly budgets. An oil price shock can mean choosing whether to put food on the table or stay warm, while shifting to clean energy means families will be better shielded from global events and more energy independent. We're working to address energy costs and volatility, including through the Inflation Reduction Act. The IRA is the most important climate and energy law in U.S. history. It's driving changes in how America produces and consumes energy, including through tax incentives. Some of these tax breaks support manufacturers, and they're working, boosting investment in factories across the United States that produce solar panels, batteries, and electric vehicles. Other provisions support the deployment of clean power generation. It's resulted in a record year for solar power plant additions in 2023. Since the start of the administration, companies have announced over $600 billion in manufacturing and clean energy investments. And over the past year, I've been seeing these investments firsthand, such as in November, I traveled to North Carolina to tour the country's largest lithium hydroxide production facility, and I saw new cutting-edge lithium products that will power the domestic electric vehicle supply chain. And because it's now cheaper to produce clean energy and manufacture clean energy products here in the United States, production will increase and costs will drop over time. And this will make clean energy even more affordable for American consumers, with benefits for consumers globally. But the IRA is also about lowering costs of American families in the short term, allowing them to shrink and stabilize their energy bills right away. And this is what I'd like to talk about now. The IRA provides taxpayers a tax credit of $150 to put toward energy audits of their homes. And these assessments serve as roadmaps for determining where you'll see the highest rate of return on your energy efficiency investments, whether that's replacing windows or doors or installing better insulation. You can use other IRA credits to offset up to $1,200 for these improvements. Now, new windows and doors may not be high tech, but they can result in significant immediate cost savings. You can also discount by up to 30% the cost of putting solar panels on your roof or batteries in your garage to store the energies those panels produce. And you can get up to $2,000 for installing a heat pump. That allows you to shift from oil or gas-based heat to electricity instead. And you can also take advantage of rebates for water heaters, home insulation, and many other energy-efficient home improvements at the time of sale, and covering 100% of relevant costs for low-income households. This is alongside generous state programs for rebates here in Massachusetts. The popularity of heat pumps is growing. Heat pump sales exceeded the sales of gas furnaces in the United States in 2022 for the first time. And we're also seeing growing demand around the world, including in Eastern Europe, where countries including Poland have sought to reduce their reliance on Russian-supplied gas. As the IRA's incentives drive down costs of clean energy technologies over time, they'll help our allies and trading partners continue making progress toward meeting their climate, energy, security, and affordability goals too. Beyond energy, you can save up to $7,500 when purchasing an electric vehicle. And for these credits, there's no lifetime limit. For the home energy credits in particular, you can claim the credit every year you make improvements for the next decade. And I'll briefly mention there's support not just for households, but for others, from incentives for landlords, developers of energy efficiency improvements, to certain multifamily buildings, to funds for state and local governments to update building codes. Now, we know it's not enough merely to create credits. So we're also working to make accessing those credits as easy as possible. For example, starting just last week, consumers can transfer their clean vehicle credit to the dealer in exchange for a discount when they buy the car. That means you don't have to wait to claim the credit on your tax return. You get an upfront down payment. Thanks to IRA funding, access to credits will also be supported by the massive modernization of the Internal Revenue Service, which is helping taxpayers get the support they need. This filing season, which starts next week, increased support to taxpayers will include call lines with wait times of 5 minutes or less, and expanded in-person assistance at centers around the country. I'll end by addressing another exciting development I saw here at Roxbury Community College today, one that's also at the heart of President Biden's economic agenda. Building our clean energy future requires a skilled workforce. And RCC's Center for Smart Building Technology provides training so students can green the buildings of the future with technologies that are environmentally sustainable and low cost. Similar programs are increasingly emerging at community colleges across the country and beyond community colleges, as I saw when I visited the IBEW Training Center in Nevada last summer on the one-year anniversary of the IRA's passage. The focus on workforce development reflects President Biden's commitment to building our economy from the middle out and the bottom up. You shouldn't need a 4-year college degree to support your family. IRA-related investments are going to the communities that need the most, communities that have historically been left behind, creating jobs for workers who may not have college degrees, and through IRA provisions like the prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements and this administration's support to unions, we're fighting to make sure these jobs are good ones. Well, let me say that being here today is inspiring. The Inflation Reduction Act makes what happened at Roxbury Community College cost savings that also propel us toward a clean energy future, makes that possible for Massachusetts residents and for middle-class Americans across the country. We're already driven an historic recovery, and now we're focused on easing financial pressures on American families, and the IRA provides us with a pathway to do just that. I'm looking forward to seeing the transformation it'll drive. Thank you so much for hosting me here today.